She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockcrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockcrow, dagabag, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now I come home. The naga jackass yard for fetchy load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokonani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house from straw. Two who come later, a grandma or grandpa. All a sit down just a wait. Moonlight so bright, it's just...
All right, hey, guess what? Good afternoon and welcome back for those of you who joined our live feed earlier when Mr. Paul Slow was making his appearance in court. And many of you heard or you saw that while Mr. Paul Slow was making his appearance in court for some trumped up, silly, politically motivated, the police held on to him and attempted to arrest him while he was appearing in court for the same thing. Mind you, the photographs are right there. You saw it for yourselves. And look at this officer. You know, just grabbed Mr. Slow, grabbed him. This guy may never reach the rank of Mr. Paul Slow. This guy, and maybe all of them there, can never serve the police force for 48 years as Mr. Paul Slow did. 48 years. And that's the disrespect meted out to Mr. Paul Slow. Good afternoon, wherever you're listening to us from. I know some folks out in London. My good friend Judge. Judge is on the show. Good evening to all, or good afternoon to all of you guys in London. It is evening. And speaking of London, there is going to be a protest in London. And I hope Judge, let me just put it up there so that Judge and others who are in the UK can see that next Monday at 4 p.m., that Monday, October 18th, protest in front of the Guyana High Commission in London. Guyana High Commission in London, protesting against corruption, nepotism, racism, and false arrest, and all these things, persecution, as we're seeing happening in Guyana. All right, good afternoon. My name is Mark Benchap, and welcome. Welcome to this special interview with Mr. Paul Slow. And you all know the situation with Mr. Paul. I'll just give you guys, Mr. Paul Slow, that is, give you guys 2 minutes or a minute or so to share the link. I see Mr. Paul Slow has his entire village. His villagers are out with him. let me take the time to recognize one of his villagers, Onyx Duncan. Honest Duncan. I don't know if he's related to my friend. Let's fight. Sherrod Duncan, I believe, yes. Onyx and Sherrod, they're related. Onyx and Sherrod, they're related. And Onyx, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on with us. The folks out in the UK, Norman Brown, good evening to you. I have noticed that Norman Brown is on. Judge, again, don't forget, coming up next Monday, right there in the UK, there'll be a protest in front of the UK Guyana High Commission in the UK. All right, so Mr. Paul Slow is with us, but for some reason, because of the internet connection, don't know what's going on with the internet, but he is with us. He keeps dropping off. We'll ask Mr. Paul Slow to try again, and so that, yes, he has tried. He's there in the studio. Let me not waste much more of your time, but I just appreciate the fact that you guys are sharing the link. Let's get straight to Mr. Paul Slow. Mr. Slow, sorry about that. I know you're having internet problems there, but good afternoon. Yep, Mr. Slow, can you hear us? Good afternoon.
Well, I can hear you, but it's going and coming, so I don't know how long the link will last. I did ask you to use it. So if I join,
if it cuts off, if it cuts off, we will get you via WhatsApp. So don't worry, we will get you. We will hear from you. People want to hear from you from all across Guyana, all across the world. And we thank you guys so much for sharing the link. Let's begin. Mr. Paul Slow, how are you feeling right now?
Well, as can be expected, Mark. Upset. I think that describes it in one word: very upset as to what transpired.
Very upset as to what transpired. We're going to allow you to cool down a little. We know that you wouldn't allow these sort of political gimmicks to get to you. But there is one question that I want to ask of you first before we get into the real issue, the real reason why you're here. I know you saw this situation with the fire lady being reprimanded and so forth. With all your years in law enforcement, this is a firewoman. She reprimanded all because she assisted with the fire. What is your take on this, sir?
Well, I would have thought that if there's a fire, then the major objective was to try to get the fire out. And you would note that in many occasions, civilians will assist the fire service. So if an off-duty rank turns up to assist in putting out the fire, I can't see the rank being reprimanded for being in civilian clothes and assisting in putting out the fire, unless you allow persons who are off duty to go home with their safety gears so they can respond appropriately. I would note that when there was the breakdown police fire, the fire chief was there in his regular clothes. What I saw, I never saw him with protective clothes. So I don't know if there are different standards for different ranks in the fire service. That is all I can see at this time.
And that is well said. I even saw Robeson Ben assisting with the hose, fire hose, and all these different things before. He was never reprimanded, but here it is, an off-duty firewoman has been reprimanded for doing her job. She is the hero. Lots of people are talking about her. But let us get to your situation, Mr. Paul Slow. You returned to Guyana.
There is that,
go ahead.
Is that when something like this happens, it discourages other ranks from responding, because if she's responding and assisting, and then it's going to be reprimanded, it means that if there's another fire and the ranks are there on their off duty or passing, they might be reluctant to intervene because they don't have the proper protective equipment, and therefore they might be fearful that if they should intervene, they're going to be remanded, just as how this rank was reprimanded.
So sad, a sad situation indeed, but salute to that firefighter, that firewoman. We salute you. Maybe one day she will move on to become a competent fire chief. Competent fire chief. All right, Mr. Paul Slow, let's get down to business. You were out of the country for several months doing your own business as a professional, doing your job. And we heard months ago that the regime, these guys in the regime were after you, and frivolous allegations, accusations, whatever it is, because they wanted you to be removed as chairman of the Police Service Commission. They wanted you to do certain things in terms of promoting people that they like, who had lots of question marks, police officers, that is. And so the war began. You returned to Guyana recently. There was no police. They weren't there to arrest you or nothing. Can you describe what it was like upon your return to Guyana before today's incident?
Well, let me start a little further back, because on the 19th of May, a charge of conspiracy to commit fraud was filed against myself and several serving and former police officers. I was out of the country at the time. As you and your viewers and listeners will know, I work with the Cricket West Indies, and my duty entails that I move around several countries in the Caribbean. So during that period between May and now when I returned, I was island hopping more or less, working Grenada, Barbados, Antigua on 2 occasions, Jamaica, St. Kitts, not St. Lucia, and all of those places. So finally, my tour came to an end on the 19th of last month. So before that, the matter was called and postponed to today's date. So I immediately made arrangement, and I contacted the lawyer, Mr. Hughes, and I advised him that I will definitely be here for today's airing. So I came in the country on Wednesday morning, and this morning I received a summons, the first contact in relation to this matter, because I was never questioned, I was never arrested because I was out of the jurisdiction. Nobody questioned me in respect to this allegation about conspiracy to commit fraud. But last Friday, they took a summons to the office of Mr. Nigel Hughes. He sent it to me. So that was the first official correspondence which said that I should appear before in Georgetown Magistrate Court 3 this morning. No time was stated on the summons, but at the last hearing, the magistrate put out the matter to 11 o'clock this morning. So I turned up at the court just before 11 o'clock and was confronted by 4 policemen. Well, they claimed to be policemen in civilian clothes. One said that he was Assistant Superintendent Ramana, and he was there to arrest me. So I said, well, what are you arresting me for? He said, in relation to this matter, conspiracy to commit fraud. I said, but look, this matter is already before the court. That is why I'm here. I'm summoned to come. Well, he is insisting that he should arrest me. And I said, well, no, you have no authority to arrest me, because this matter is before the court, and I receive a summons. And he is the person who did the summons. I received a summons to come to court this morning, and I'm here to go to the court 3 to answer to the charge. So that is I insisted. They allowed to me, they assaulted me. They allowed to me, I insisted that, look, there was no lawful reason for them to arrest me, because he's saying that he's arresting me for a matter that is already before the court. And at some stage, he indicated that they wanted to caution me after charge. Well, that is all sort of rubbish. A matter is already before the court. You can't say that you're going to be cautioning me after charge. The matter is before the court, and the court has to deal with the matter. You, the police, now can't intervene, because what has happened there is that they were directed to file charges on the 19th of May, just before the Chief Justice was to rule on the Butas matter. So they already filed charges, no investigation, no confrontation, no allegation put to me. So now they are trying, but that is ridiculous. You cannot do that. You cannot put the matter before the court and then you try to intervene. So I insisted that I was not going to go to the inquiry's office that they want to take me. I said, look, I'm here to go to the court, and I'm going to the court. I am going to wait to be advised by the lawyers. And eventually, Mr. Peters came. He traveled all the way from Canada. He came this morning. And Mr. Patrice Henry also intervened. And they allowed me, well, they accompanied me to go into the courtroom. So I went there. The charges were read by the magistrate. And, well, they're indictable, so I wasn't required to plea. And then I was put on bail. And significantly, once bail was granted, the same ranks, Raman and those who came to arrest me and those who assaulted me, disappeared from the court. So they weren't there very longer to arrest, because I suspect somebody might have advised them that they're on, they don't have any authority, so they disappeared. So that is in a nutshell of what transpired. But to say that you have not heard the last of that, because as I said, I was assaulted. They had no authority to say they're trying to arrest me, and I will take the correct course of action, speak to my lawyers, and we'll take the correct course of action to deal with those persons.
All right, well said, and we are pleased to hear that you will deal with those individuals. Now, let me ask you this. I'm sure that your lawyer would have brought this to the attention of the court, to the magistrate, as to the conduct or the misconduct of the policemen?
I didn't get what you said at the end here. After magistrate.
Yeah, sorry. Did your lawyer or did your lawyers explain to the magistrate what the police did, the misconduct of the police?
Again, you're dropping out. But I guess you're asking the lawyer. Well, the lawyer told the magistrate exactly that I was here in response to this summons and what actually transpired. So the court is well aware for the records. The lawyer said, he wants the record reflect. Because this is a clear case, I'm convinced that they are being directed by sources outside the force, politicians, to come and to harass and to try to intimidate me. There's no question about that. That is what they're doing. These are people from Soku, who a department headed by Senior Superintendent Karim Bash. And we all know the person. He's a man who the Police Service Commission had cast for discipline. And he moved to the High Court in an attempt to have the disciplinary matter discontinued, and he lost the case. He has now appealed. So he's the man who investigating. He's the man who charging after being faced with disciplinary sanctions from the commission that I edited it.
Sorry about that, Mr. Paul Slow having that internet connection problem out at his home. We are really sorry about that. I see that our operator, Lemon, is quick, back to action. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Paul Slow. We lost you there for a quick minute.
I got disconnected a while there.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You were at the part.
Karim Bash is the man who's behind this, and it's obviously he has been directed. He's been given instruction by certain senior politicians. They're using to harass me.
It is indeed obvious harassment. Members of the public are seeing this. Thousands of people saw it earlier. Thousands are listening to you right now. They're reading between the lines. It is pretty obvious that you are being harassed. And this guy who is heading Soku, Karim Bach, has had some serious problems before. Many years ago, in 2000 or 2001, not alleged, but he shot. Yep. He shot the leg off of a 14 or a 13-year-old boy who was attending Bishop's High School at that time. Nothing happened. Karim Bach went on to become a prosecutor at the court in New Amsterdam. We'll try to get Mr. Paul Slow via telephone, and it's probably better that way.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Slow, we have you here on audio. So it's better this way. So I was just giving a little background as to Mr. Karim Bach, the fact that he had that big controversy where he shot the leg off of a little boy. Nothing happened to that matter. He later went on to become a prosecutor at the New Amsterdam court. Today, Mr. Karim Bach is the guy who's heading SOCU to go out and do the biddings of his political bosses, those hooligans in the PPP. Now, when you turned up this morning, Mr. Paul Slow, I'm looking at some photographs as to how you were treated, how you were assaulted. Here's a man who gave 48 plus years as a policeman to your country. Were you surprised? How did you feel when these very junior ranks treated you in this manner?
Well, I expected at some stage, because I know that one of the aim they had from the inception is to try to harass me and to embarrass me. So when the matter was filed for us on the 19th of May, I am advised, reliably so, that I went to the airport on 2 occasions because they were expecting me to travel, and they wanted to press me there to make a big spectacle to bring me to town. But these are people who know where I live. The whole hierarchy of the police force is aware. They know where I live. And yet still they went to the airport in an attempt to arrest me. So when I came in on Wednesday morning, I was looking to see if they would have come again. They did not come. So I've been looking all along for them to come to say they arrest me, because again I say the aim is to embarrass. And so when I turned up this morning, I can't say that I was totally surprised, but I really thought that they would have tried to, they're coming with something new. But to hear that they're trying to arrest me on matters that are already before the court, then I realized that was ridiculous.
Ridiculous indeed for someone who spent 48 years. And I'm sure that none of those guys would be able to spend that long in the Guyana police force and give their service to the country, just as what you did. I know your co-accused, Mr. Conway, was also there with you. He wasn't arrested, was he?
No, but they had already appeared. You see, they had already appeared since March the 20th. So I am the last accused person to appear, because I was out all the time. So I never appeared. They never contacted me. So they filed the matter, as I said before, and therefore they had no legal authority to now say they are contacting me in respect to the same matter. More so, they issued a summons on Friday last, commanding me to appear, and I am appearing. So I'm not defying anything. I just summoned to appear in court this morning, and I'm appearing, and they are trying to arrest me in respect to the same matter. So the thing is so ridiculous. I guess they just carrying out the instructions that they got without looking to see that they have no lawful authority to do what they attempted to do.
You know, you are correct, Mr. Conway and others. Conway appeared in front of a magistrate's court a couple of months ago. My apologies for that. They did. But I noticed Mr. Conway accompanied you today to show solidarity with his colleague. And thank you so much, Mr. Conway, for that. But as you were standing in front of the magistrate, at any point in time, did the police prosecution say to the magistrate that they are not in favor of bail for you?
No, well, the matter they have the conspiracy to commit fraud, which is on first. And the prosecutor there, I understand, is a lawyer from SOCU. So he's not, I don't think, he's not a police rank as such, as a female prosecutor from SOCU. And my lawyer, Mr. Peters, spoke for us. And he indicated my standing and the fact that I'm not a flight risk, and that I voluntarily, and in my own position, returned to the country to face the charge. And then he asked that I be put on my own recognizance or on bail in the sum of $10,000. The SOCU prosecutor then replied to say that the matters were filed since May of this year, and suggested that I was avoiding the court. And she did say that I took my eyes and passed the court by not coming to face the charges before. And then my lawyer responded, advised the court that it was only Friday that they summoned me to come to court this morning, and I flew in specifically to come to court. And the so prosecutor then had asked for substantial bail. But the magistrate did say then that the other persons were put on a $100,000 bail, so that she was going to put me on the same amount as the other persons.
Wow. So without having the facts, the magistrate actually said that you ice passed the court, when in fact you were only summoned Friday.
The prosecutor said so.
Or the
The
prosecutor?
prosecutor said,
Oh,
I don't know her name or anything. That was the so-called prosecutor, female, female lawyer, I suspect. And she said that my ice passed the court because the matter was filed since May of this year, and it's only now I'm appearing.
yeah. She probably wasn't reading.
So because of that, she was asking for substantial bail. She was asking for substantial bail.
I got you. She probably wasn't reading, or probably even if she read, she wouldn't understand what's happening. Whoever that so-called persecutor is from Soku. And now, prosecutor, mind you, prosecutor. Now, let us. You were granted bail. You went out, and this here is an obvious attempt to embarrass you. You're not easily embarrassed. These guys are persecuting you. There's no question about that. But what happened when you left the courtroom? You didn't go home to drink a cup of tea or whatever. You went over to where Brigdam Police Station is currently housed to file a criminal complaint. Can you explain that criminal complaint, please, against Anil Nandala?
Before the case, I indicated we have two sets of matters. The one in relation to the conspiracy to commit fraud, and then three other charges were read to me, where the female officer by the name of Nicola Kendall. The facts of the matter is that on three separate occasions at police headquarters, that is what the charge was read, I rubbed her leg and her foot without her consent. So those three charges are there, and again, those charges were indictable. The inspector swore to the information this morning. And then the question of bail, that is a police prosecutor, because that matter, or those matters, are being dealt with by the police prosecutor, corporal there, and he did not object to bail being granted. And then the magistrate indicated that she would put me on $75,000 for each of those matters. So there's a total of $325,000 in the four cases, 425 and 100,000. Now, when the bail was posted, of course, I had several persons waiting to bail me. And when the bail was posted, the media operatives are outside, so I explained to them what transpired. And then I went across to Brigdam, where the place is out there now, it's in Salsa's compound, to file a criminal complaint against the Attorney General, because on the 29th of June this year, the Attorney General appeared on an NCN program entitled Issues in the News, and he made some very disparaging and comments there. He referred to me and the other members of the commission as anarchists. He went on to say that people like me have no place in a civilized society. He referred to me as a bad John, and having listened to what he said, because this brought to my attention, having listened to what he said, I was advised that what he said amounted to harassment, bullying, and it's a violation of the Cybercrime Act of 2018. So I went to the station to make a complaint about that, because I feel really threatened, bullied, and up to now I feel fearful, because here it is, the Attorney General accusing me of these things. So I went to the police, I made a complaint, I furnished them with a statement, and I also furnished them with a transcript of the TV program I referred to. So they have that, and I would expect them to investigate, and as I indicated in the statement, to take the appropriate legal action to put it before the court.
All right, so we can expect charges against Anil Nandalal pretty soon. the cybercrime violation, we can hopefully expect that at all. But let's be serious in terms of this complaints made. Do you really expect this to get anywhere with Anil? That the police going to go and actually question him or arrest him, just like they grabbed and arrested you and assaulted you today?
Well, no, well, the assault part is a different story. But in terms of the Attorney General, the complaint is made, and I would expect the police will do what the police are supposed to do, and that is investigate and to take the appropriate action, because there is no doubt the video is there. I furnished them with a transcript, but the video is there for them to see exactly what was said and for them to determine whether it was in fact a violation, as I think, I and my lawyer think it was a violation of the Cybercrime Act, and therefore we expect the appropriate action to be taken.
All right, we are going to be watching. We will be monitoring them on that. We are not going to let up on the charges that ought to be instituted against Anil Nandalal for cybercrime violation. This transcript, I have copies of the transcripts of what he said on June 29th of this year on National Communications Network, that is NCN, that's controlled by the installed PPP regime. This whole masquerading of trumped up charges against you and all these different things, I'm sure that these charges didn't come unexpected. You knew that they were after you. You knew that they wanted you to tamper with your, to play around with your job and do illegal stuff. Let me just remind some people that the guy who sits there as president of the country actually called you directly, which can be interpreted as interference of your job at the Police Service Commission there.
Well, exactly, that is what he attempted to do. He attempted to get me to promote some officers who were not eligible for promotion, specifically Senior Superintendent Karim Bash, Senior Superintendent Brutus. Both of them had disciplinary matters pending before the court. And in the case of Karim Bash, I said before the court, but before the commission, they had disciplinary matters pending. And in the case of Karim Bash, he had moved to the High Court to challenge the process, the disciplinary process, and therefore to want to have such a person promoted. He's charged departmentally. The matter is pending. He moves to the court to try to get it through now. And while that matter is pending before the court, the president wants him to be promoted. And when I push back, then this is all of this. I'm going to, and the dates, if you look at the dates, these things are significant because the Police Service Commission met on the 23rd of December to consult and to consider the recommendations for promotion. 23rd of December. The very night I was asked to call the president, and I did. He angrily told me that Butas and Karim Bash were not on the short list. So I explained to him again about the process and the fact that they had this very matter pending. They could not be considered then for promotion. That is on the night of the 23rd. On the day of the 24th, Christmas Eve day, Mr. Ropes, who then Minister of Home Affairs, communicated to the commissioner, directed him to institute criminal charges against several officers. Some of them were people who were shortlisted. And it was clear that he was doing that in an attempt to influence the Police Service Commission who to promote and who not to promote. And again, I want to draw the significance of the timeline because the commission met on the 23rd during the day. The president and I spoke on the night of the 23rd, the very night that the commission met, and he angrily told me about this, people not being included on the short list. The next day, the 24th, the Minister of Home Affairs communicated to the commissioner. So anyone can figure out that communication would have taken place between the president, the minister, the commissioner in respect to the promotion. I suspect others as well. So then, having not gotten their way, this diabolical plan to dismantle the commission was hatched. So basically, you look at the timeline. Brutus went to court on the 1st of December when the promotion was to be announced. And the other timelines are the 28th of June, the Chief Justice. The 16th of June, the commission, the president attempted to suspend the commission. Because I'm saying this, and people can research it and look it up. Once the president did not get his way on the 23rd of December, they initiated a process to dismantle the commission so that no promotion can be made. So all of these things, the filing of the charge on the 19th of May was just before the Chief Justice was to rule the matter, and then that ruling was postponed. The suspension of the commission on the 16th of July was just before the Chief Justice was due to rule on the 18th, and then that was put off to the 20th. So you're seeing all of these things were designed to get rid of the commission, because they know that given the cases that they had before the court, they hadn't a snowball in any chance of winning those cases. So they anticipated that they were going to lose those cases. So the plan was, once they lose, you dismantle the commission before that, so no promotion could be made. And that is what it is.
Exactly what it is. You heard from Mr. Paul Slow himself there. What is obvious political interference by Irfan Ali, who called to interference with the works of the Police Service Commission by getting annoyed and wanting to force the hands of the then chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Paul Slow, into promoting police officers who were before the court for disciplinary matters, before the commission for disciplinary matters. One was before the court, that is Mr. Karim Bach, who is the head of SOCU right now. So SOCU, he cannot operate on his own. He has to do whatever his political bosses are telling him to do. I know the matter is now before the court, so there's something that's called sub judice. There is only so much that Mr. Paul Slow can say. But we appreciate the fact that he has taken time out to talk his story. But we are not going to shy away from having Mr. Paul Slow talk his story at all. Concerning Mr. Slow, the matter with the police assaulting you, have you filed a complaint already at the station?
No, we haven't done so yet. We're going to be doing. I mean, we are so upset that we just decided to come away, and I am going to speak to my lawyer again, and we're going to decide on a course of action before the end of the day.
You know, Mr. Slow, 48 years, before we go, 48 years of service you've given to Guyana to serve and protect your country, to serve and protect the people of Guyana, to safeguard them. Some of these, or maybe all of those policemen who have arrested you and assaulted you today, we saw that. There's no question about that. They weren't even born yet. How does that make you feel, though, sir, with all of your years of service to the force and the people?
Well, it's not only me. It's not me taking it personally respecting the service that I gave, but there's the level of unprofessionalism that was displayed, lack of knowledge. Because if you were a knowledgeable police officer, then you ought to have known that a person is already charged and put and placed before the court. A person who is summoned to attend court and is appearing in court in compliance of that summon, for you to then try to arrest him for the same matter, any decent police officer will know that you can't do that. But the problem with these people is that they get directions and instructions, and they just blindly attempt to carry it out. But I'm not going to stand for that. I decided that I'm not going to allow them to violate my rights. I know what my rights are, and therefore I stood up and said, look, that is not going to happen because you have no authority. And I warned the officer, said, look, right now you're assaulting me, and I have the right under the law to resist being assaulted by you. Right? I didn't do that, but I told him I have the right to resist being assaulted by you, and I cautioned him that you're assaulting me, and the necessary action will flow, and it's there for all to see.
Yes, we actually saw that, and I know because I looked at their body language that if they had continued assaulting you, that they would have gotten, and rightfully so, what they deserve. Because you, like any other citizen, should not be assaulted, and you have a right to defend and protect yourself. I was just waiting for you to do that. But there is. I'm not saying that I'm promoting violence. I'm not saying that you're a violent man, but you have every right to defend and protect yourself. But they knew better, so they stopped. Mr. Paul Slow, I know you're tired. You've had a busy day. Your closing remarks. Thousands of people throughout the country, throughout the world, have been watching this episode earlier at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. They're watching right now. They are in full support of you. They are praying for this matter to resolve. In favor of you. They know you're a man that wouldn't sit down and allow this sort of oppression and persecution to continue over you. What is in your closing remarks, please?
Well, what I want to say is that, again, as I said, it's disappointing to see how these police officers, and I noted the man that is being used in all of these matters is this ASP Romano. So he is there. He is spearheading all of this. Of course, he's getting directions from Karim Bash. Karim Bash is getting directions from elsewhere. But it's sad to see where the police force that I served for all these years, and I've had the same sentiments expressed by a lot of retired senior police officers, to see what the Guyana police force has become, to see what has been happening now, clear directions in respect to postings or transfers, direction in respect of who should be charged, direction instead of who should be arrested. And it's really, really, really sad. It's really sad. And that is the disappointing thing, that the way how it is going, there is no bottom to this. And let me say this too, and it's a reflection of the type of leadership that the force has, because these are Ramana is a fairly junior officer. He's an assistant superintendent, I think, and he's very middle management position. So, but to see the senior people sit back and allow these type of things to happen, and not only allow, but maybe to direct this type of action, tells you exactly what is going on. Lack of leadership, lack of direction. This ship is without sail, and it's going to run into more turbulent waters. It's going to sink.
More turbulent waters, indeed. It seems as though you're a good friend, the guy who is supposedly performing the duties of Commissioner of Police, seemed to have lost control of the entire force.
Well, losing control suggests that you had control at some stage. I don't know that Nigel ever had control since he assumed the office to carry out the functions of the commissioner.
Quickly before we go, Mr. Slow, an unrelated matter concerning your situation, your trumped up charges, your politically instigated charges, the persecution against you and other members who have been charged alongside you a couple of months back. But it's been a while now, a couple of weeks, and still no word on the member of the SWAT team that shot and killed a businessman out there in Essequibo or in Boston. Are you surprised at all at the snail-like approach to this matter?
Well, Mark, given what is going on, I can tell you nothing that the police do surprises me. I mean, I'm disappointed in many of the actions, but I'm not surprised because, as I said, it's a rudderless ship. If you have a rudderless ship, you're going to run into turbulent waters, and the ship is likely to sink. So nothing surprises me, but I'm extremely disappointed with some of these actions. And let me say this. I think it would be remiss of me not to say. And this is not an attack against the police force, because the police force is made up of officers, individuals, and they are some decent individuals. But what is happening now that the people are scared, people are intimidated. So many of them are seeing the wrong things being done, and because of fear, they just stay quiet. But I get frequent communication by all means, people telling me what is going on, and the people are scared to even say something is wrong, even though they know something is wrong. They're afraid. They are afraid. And how can you function if you know something is wrong and you're afraid to stand up for what is right. And that is what is going on there right now.
Absolutely. That is what is going on. If you can allow me, I know I have said finally, I want to ask you something. Do you give me permission to ask you a very soft political question?
Well, you can ask, but I will answer it another issue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Slow. But what is your take? We see these people in the regime parading themselves around Guyana and other parts of the world, talking about one Guyana. What is your take on that sort of propaganda, one Guyana?
Well, I don't get into the politics, even though they want to paint me as a politician. I'm sure the action that I've taken in demanding my rights and filing charge, you're going to see them putting it as propaganda. And I know they're going to label me as opposition. And I'm not that. I am not that. So I'm not going to go there to determine motive and so on. I am dealing with issues that they brought, the persecution of me and other officers, and the bullying, cyberbullying by the authority, and I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going outside. As we would say, we have a saying in the cricket circle, I am staying in my lane and not venturing out there.
All right, Mr. Paul Slow, bat and pat together indeed, sticking in your crease. In cricket term, sticking in your crease and bat as safely as possible. I agree with you that you may not want to venture out of your crease. But thank you so much for your time, Mr. Paul Slow. Don't be a stranger. We will continue every day to bat on your side and the side of the other officers who are being persecuted by these folks in the installed regime. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Slow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul Slow there. Again, a man who gave 48 years of service to the people of Guyana. And this is how he was treated earlier. Yeah, this is a regular thing. It's very annoying when they grab you by your pants back and they pull it up like that. Maybe some of our opposition MPs, there we go again, Ben Sharp again, and these opposition MPs. Maybe they should experience some of this too, because it's part of their job. Don't be afraid. If you stand up for people's rights and these things happen to you, it's okay. It comes with the territory. But I'm glad to, early I spoke with Coretta McDonald, the member of parliament, who was there at the court. And I specifically asked my folks on the ground there at the court as well, whether Coretta McDonald was there with some other colleagues of hers, of the member of parliament, that is, and I was told no. Coretta McDonald was the only member of parliament there. The only member of parliament there. I repeat, the only member of parliament there. I want you to see my face when I say, One Guyana, right? Such a fake. One Guyana, such a fake. I gotta get me some beauty rest, man. Grab me a nice milkshake. I want to be back out later on this evening. And we have the energy for the PPP. We have the stamina for them. We don't give up. We keep going and going and going until they get it right. And when they get it right, then is when maybe there can be some sort of talks. But they have to get it right first. You cannot have a regime brutalizing your people, believe that what they're doing is right, and preaching this false notion about one Guyana, when in fact in Guyana, they are destroying the country. Every single day we see it. They cannot govern a country. They're running it worse than those folks at Borby's Bridge who are selling plantain chips. Worse than those guys, those hardworking folks who are selling dog food and these different things. They're worse than that. They can't run a country. They believe in just ripping off you, the ordinary citizens. Whether you're a supporter of the PPP or not, they're Black Bush Polar have experienced recently. They're crying out for their compensation. They wish that they never had seen the day that the PPP would be back in office. Their own supporters are saying this. I just hope that those of us that we support, at least I support for now, the coalition, members of parliament, will get off of their high horses. Some of them are there. Get out of their air-conditioned offices and go out underground. Put on ground boots. Not sleeping gongs and night slippers, bedroom slippers in the evening, and call that boots and call that fight. That is not how politics is done. It is just not how politics is done. I've got to go, man. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back tonight, same place, same time, 9 o'clock. And stretch your hand out. You, the hardworking, ordinary people, the people who mean a lot, the people who have been tuning into this program from day one. Regardless of what time I'm on, you guys are with me. Stretch your hand out, man. Give me a real handshake. Genuine handshake. We're back in business. I love you guys so much. Don't forget, Monday the 18th, next Monday, that is, next Monday in London, in front of the Guyana High Commission's office, they will be protesting. They will be protesting. Norman Brown and others. Judge, I got to give you a call. Judge. All right? You guys got to be out there to protest. Enough is enough. Ms. Booker, give me a handshake. Okay. Love you guys. A handshake. Handshake. 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. 4 o'clock next Monday in front of the UK, the Guyana High Commission in the UK. You guys got to be there. You've got to be there. All right? So, beautiful Guyana. See you guys at 9 o'clock. Bye-bye.
That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope, till at length they got bust the rope, and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. In the land of Kaijur, shining splendor, land of the palm tree, the croton and fern, we would possess all the virtues and graces, we all the glory of goodness would learn. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can be. Born in the land where men sought El Dorado, land of the diamond and bright shining gold, we would build up by our faith, love, and labor God's golden city, which never grows old. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow, till at length we each of us may show what Guyana sons and daughters can